All right, so I'm currently on the line with the guys of Dr. Ted and the Stone, so I'm going to go ahead and give them the chance to introduce themselves.
All right. I'm Judah Goldman, lead singer, frontman, miscellaneous multi instrumentalist.
I'm Jose D. Cruz. I'm also miscellaneous multi instrumentalist, and I sing background.
I'm Andrew Berger. I'm primary bassist of the band, and doctor of audio for the band.
And I'm Maddox Pearson, and I play drums.
And you sing.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys for joining me. So this will probably take a little bit of time, but why don't each of you kind of go through what it was that first connected you to music and, made you want to pursue a life in it. Before we get too far into it, I want to point out Judah is somebody that I've interviewed before. So his interviews are available, and I'll make them available via the link when I do share this as well. But for the sake of this question, why don't we leave your information to that interview, and then we'll focus on the other members for a moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful people to talk about.
I'll start. The first thing, my family's very we always had music playing, but the first thing that got me musically involved in anything was church. My family started going to the same church we've always gone to when I was a year and a half, and then when I turned 9, I started taking piano lessons from the church accompanist we had, and my sister had been taking lessons with him. And then a couple years later, I'd say 4 years later, 5, I was playing at the church because the accompanist had since left, and then it was me and my sister. But she mostly played keys, and I was drawn to everything else. So I played guitar. I played drums, auxiliary percussion, Latin percussion, organ. And so then it just kind of started there at 13 years old, doing weekly rehearsals with the church musicians, accumulating a large repertoire. But in the way that I didn't think of it that way. It was just church. And so fast forward to college, and I start taking lessons with the instructors there, and they ask at the beginning of all the lessons, they ask oh, what have you done? And then I realized I'm oh fuck, I can curse here, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I was oh fuck, I have a ridiculous amount of playing experience for a real consistent amount of time. After finally putting on the lens of, I'm going to do music for the rest of my life, I finally looked back and realized that I had been doing it forever.
Sure.
And so I'm just going to keep going.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Here, Maddox, why don't you go next?
Sure. You still thinking? Sure. I'll try to piece together as I go. Well, my love for music was kind of a gradual build, honestly. I didn't really like music until roughly, I want to say, middle schoolish age, when I got super into the Rock Band Guitar Hero video games. But earlier in my life, I was just, I don't know, I was always fascinated by video games, soundtracks, and the atmospheres that were created within them and all that sort of thing. So I was drawn to music from an early age, but not necessarily I didn't really fall into the broader spectrum of music, I want to say, or feel the interest to become a musician until roughly around middle school, when what was it? I think I needed something to fill an elective in middle school, basically, and I had I played violin for a long time, from elementary school through middle school, but I was never really that into it. I never practiced. And so when I eventually dropped it, I needed an elective. And so I took to my middle school's choir, my high school's choir eventually. And then also at the same time, when I was playing Rock Band, I really got into sort of the drum aspect of things. I mean, that's always that game. I mean, other than like some elements of its gameplay in the third installment. It never really taught like, scales or whatever on guitar, but it was all about rhythm. And I learned basically basic, I guess, drum beats and rhythm through Rock Band, and I transferred that over into like real drums. And it just sort of built from there. I started taking formal, I guess, rock lessons when I was in high school. And then I got my first drum kit when I was in high school, like I think roughly like almost 12 years ago now, 13 years ago. What was it? Yeah, so I took my first rock lessons, played a bit in high school, got into my first rock band around then, started taking jazz lessons in college, and now here I am playing with these guys. And it's been a hell of a ride as a drummer, and I wouldn't regret any second of it.
Sure. And Andrew, how did you find music?
I think it honestly started when I was like 5 in the back, or no, I did start taking piano lessons when I was 4. No, I could not show for it at this time, but I really started to kind of pay attention to music when I was like 5. My dad got a new car and it had like a 6-disc CD changer. So my dad was just putting all of his like top albums in the car, and we were just listening to them. So it's like Allman Brothers, Beatles' White Album, Led Zeppelin, How the West Was Won, and the B-52s.
Sure.
I can't remember who else, but like that was kind of what started it. And I heard this guitar solo to Back in the USSR of the White Album, and I was like, I want to know how to do that. Like something about that guitar solo was just like, I want to do that. I kind of picked up my cousin's like mini guitar that he had. He's about like 10 years older than me. And I just started learning guitar like through lessons, and then high school jazz ensemble, then college jazz ensemble and blues ensemble.
Yeah.
And we were all in we kind of made up our own ensemble on the campus for people who might not have been like interested in necessarily playing jazz music. So we play quote unquote blues inspired music.
Loosely.
I don't think it
bluesy.
was ever really a campus sanctioned ensemble.
I was about to ask if you were
We
ever
got-
officially recognized.
Well, we got in trouble because we put flyers up that said BYOB, and they were like, "Wait, we don't recognize you as a club. You can't do that." And they like sent me a cease and desist letter.
Oh my
That's
god.
Bullshit.
Yeah, this was after you graduated, Burger. This was my senior year.
Oh my god. The saga of the blues ensemble, the
Dude,
origins.
Best concert. The
Dude,
best
the-
concert was the bottom of Seegers, or the bottom
Yeah.
of the Center for the Arts.
Yeah,
That
That was a
dude.
great venue.
Amazing.
That was
Ugh.
crazy.
Well, that sort of leads me into kind of the next set of questions that I have is kind of, how did the four of you meet and kind of configure the way that you wanted to approach making music together?
So Andrew and I met first.
Yeah.
We met in Kozak's jazz.
Oh god.
Yeah, we met. So in our college there were 2 jazz ensembles. There was like Monday Jazz and Thursday
Tuesday
Jazz.
jazz. Tuesday jazz.
Okay.
Thursday was
So-
big band.
Oh yeah, I was in that too. Yes. Yes.
Shout out Tony Gyro.
The legend, man. Rob Hartman for
Rob
life.
Hartman.
So anyways, there were like 2 jazz ensembles. So Monday was kind of the less preferred one. Our teacher Tom Kozik taught it. Talented guitarist. Teaching style,
And,
little Gary, rest in peace.
And Gary, yeah.
on drums.
Both incredibly talented musicians. Their teaching styles,
R.I.P. Gary. R.I.P.
Big rip.
Gary. He's no
Yeah.
longer with us.
but their teaching styles were, a little unorthodox, I suppose. A little less,
Tom Kozik was the kind of guy I literally, this was an interaction I had with him. We were at a jazz competition at Moravian College, and he was
Whoa.
leaving the back room where the instruments were, and it was basically the green room for the for the performers, and he's walking away, and one of his shoes is like very untied. Like, I'm actively worried for this man. And I'm like, Kozik, your shoe's untied. And he says, thank you. And then just like walks faster away. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, is he mad at is he going to watch the rest? I don't know what's happening.
He was a pretty like quiet guy. I don't think he's like, he showed up to play and teach and then he went home.
Yeah.
Gary, on the other hand, was a very lackadaisical sort of man, but you know,
quite a character.
Kept it pretty chill.
So at some point, I kind of gathered that you guys kind of branched off from that and started your own group that inevitably was not recognized by the school, but.
Well, so
yeah, well,
the first time we played in this
yeah.
configuration was Judah's wedding, but we've all played together in like some capacity before that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like
Judah, Maddox, and I sort of.
Jose and I, we came into the picture sort of late in the game since, you know, obviously Jude and Andrew, they were in classes above ours, but. You know, we met freshman year, Jose and I, you know, we were on the same floor in Prosser at Muhlenberg College, Dirty Pros.
Dirty
Pros. I remember meeting him like in our first week around. He was playing like Stairway to Heaven. We were all like sort of singing Stairway to Heaven in the halls, like of Prosser. Like, yeah, ain't that a throwback, Jose? And it was just like at that moment I knew I was around like fellow sort, you know, my own sort of people, my own sort of like music geeks that you know, I could pair with and I guess ascend to the next level of, I guess, musicdom, you know.
Sure. So once that did happen, how did you kind of come up with the band that you're currently in? Like, what is the meaning of the name, and then how did you kind of figure out what style of music that you kind of wanted to focus on?
So I'd say there were several different iterations. So first, the Andrew in his senior year, my junior year, he decided that he wanted to start this ensemble, the blues ensemble, and Maddox was the drummer for that. And so that was like the first time that the three of us were working closely together. Because Jose
came into the Dr. Ted timeline. That's confirmed. Yes.
Yeah. Because Jose didn't join until Jose was never really part of blues ensemble. Jose and I would play music together. We'd hang out by the chapel and just like sit outside the chapel and play music late at night.
And then before we played in a bunch of our senior recitals, or at least Jose and I, we played in each other's. We played in.
We all played in except for Burgers.
Except Burgers,
because Burger didn't have a senior recital.
True, no. And Judah, you didn't play in Maddox's.
I did not.
But then I think after the year after Jose and I graduated, the Jude, Jose, and two other people, two of our other older friends, we went off to a cabin up near Monroe,
in Monroe, New York, in the Lower Catskills.
Yeah, where we basically just got together for a week, hung out for a bunch, wrote a bunch of songs, and it was fun. It was a very fun hangout, and we called those I think the workhorse sessions.
The workhorse sessions, yeah.
We called ourselves Workhorse at the time, but I guess the name never really stuck. It was really just a sort of work in progress.
Okay.
5-person outfit without Burger.
I'd like to add like a little, maybe not anecdote, but so Dr. Ted is a real person.
Oh yeah.
Yes. The name comes from our Lord and Savior, Dr. Ted Connor.
He was a professor at our college who taught the much preferred Tuesday jazz.
Okay.
This is the type of guy who just sort of walk into the room and sit down and go, "Okay, guys, play me Blue today." And we just go.
And that's where Jose and I
Mhm.
really, got our start doing music at Muhlenberg. I think Jude came in a little later in that class, but definitely Jose, Andrew, and I
Well-
were there from pretty early on.
Jose and I didn't like each other at first.
Oh yeah, I did not like Judah when we first met.
When
I'm
we
like,
met, we
who's-
were just like, oh.
Yeah, a bit off put, but he grew on
But
me.
then they ended up recording an entire acoustic album or two together, and
Yeah.
In my dorm room, yeah.
Those things will definitely bring people together.
I was going to say
Mhm.
earlier, the current configuration that like the four of us, we didn't become this, I guess, until Judah's wedding. We were his
Yeah,
wedding
for
band.
2019.
And so we weren't Dr. Ted back then. We just played a couple covers and a couple originals.
Mhm.
And then the venue, I guess the area where Judah's wedding was is like a
Summer camp?
bungalow colony. Do you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
on this one?
Yes. It's a little bungalow colony called Rosemarin's Cottages. Used to be a day camp back in the day. My family, like all good New York Jewish families, we go up to the Catskills in the summer.
Oh god.
They have all sorts of musical entertainment up there, and we ended up returning. I guess that was 2020, summer of 2020, to do a couple performances there, and as the unit had become the four of us, we had some friends who we all sort of went our separate ways for various reasons.
Sure.
And there was an element of all right, we're the four of us are left. We're going to play music together. We're all now living in the same area. I had been in Virginia for graduate school, and then I dropped out and moved back to New York. And so Andrew and Maddox are from Pennsylvania, so they had moved to the city, and we were all finally closer. And we thought, well, we should come up with a name.
Mhm.
I think I came up with it while I was driving one day. I was like, Doctor something, and the somethings.
Mhm.
I liked the concept of like a person, like a figure. And I think we just sort of fleshed it. At one point, it was like the Stone Band, and then we were like, "Nah, that's clunky."
Yeah, we were like, we could do better than that.
Awesome. So, why don't each of you kind of take a turn sharing a memory that you have surrounding music that either had a huge impact on you or something that keeps you motivated? Like a song you wrote or a show you went to, something that just sticks with you.
For me, I don't think it's necessarily a memory. I think it's more just like the feeling I get when I listen to music and how much more amplified it is when I'm actually playing music.
Mhm.
Like, I guess if you want like a memory or something that's like a specific reason why, it's just the damn stubbornness of wanting to prove to the world that they still need some like rock and roll instrument playing musicians that aren't trying to follow a specific trend in almost like a punkish way.
Mhm.
But I don't have any cool tattoos at this moment, so I'm not a true punk.
That was a perfectly legitimate response.
There's one memory that particularly sticks out with me at the moment. But yeah, one memory that particularly remains with me at the moment is going to see King Gizzard for the first time back in 2018. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Australian psychedelic rock band. I don't know if you know, but
Mhm.
Yes, is
oh yeah, but it's like when I went to see them live, I'd listened to like a bunch of their albums to that point. I love their sound, the heavy sort of driving psychedelic garage rock combined
Mhm.
with progressive rock, combined with, basically everything under the sun,
Mhm.
trying to expand on all of the all the sounds of the past that have been done, but in their own sort of gizzardy way. But like seeing it live, it really sort of drove home, I guess, the power of that sound and of that approach and their energy. And it was just like, I remember being like right at the front, like I think right on the bar in the front row, and like basically the mosh was like running up against me, and I was like, whoa, this is something. Um, but afterwards, I think I was back, you know, waiting for like whatever band members to come out. And Stu McKenzie, their front man, he was like one of the first out and came over to the fans, and we were all like, "Yeah, it's Stu." And I remember going over to him and saying like, dude, how do you do this every night? You give like 110% on these like absurd stretches of tours like all over the world. And it's like, he's very humble. He was very humble about it. He was like, I don't know, my ankle bloody hurts and or something like that. And it was just like, it was great, and I just want to, I hope going forward with my musical career, I can have that sort of, I guess, drive, that sort of energy to continue with the grind of
Mhm.
maintaining a band like ours.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, it's complicated holding people together for sure.
Hmm.
All right, Judah or Jose?
You can.
I
go.
think I kind of, yeah, I'm kind of gonna, I guess, echo Andrew in a way. Well, I guess yes and no. Now that I think about it, I would say the reason I do music and something that propels me is a memory of music always being in my childhood. My dad would sing us folk songs before bed. My sister taught me how to sing, and we were always singing in my house. Even to this day, whenever I see my sister, we always end up singing something together. But to kind of Andrew's point, that feeling of playing music and that feeling of performing, there is nothing like it in the world. There's like getting up on stage and performing, especially with these guys, the sound, the feeling, that being in that space, in that pocket that we are able to create with the four of us, it just has this magic to it. And it's this feeling that you kind of never want it to stop. And yeah. I mean, I'm a performer in my daily life as well. I do nursing homes, and that can get a little like monotonous, but it's still, even performing in that, I'm just like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it, and I don't care because it feels too damn good to stop.
Yeah.
That's the best I think I can articulate that.
Also a perfectly legitimate answer.
You're up, Jose.
I'm going to piggyback off Judah because I like that he brought up his day job, because I'm an educator. I work in children's theater. I do lessons most of the day. I play shows. And as much, like, I also fucking love playing live. There is nothing like it. But I guess my memory in this instance is just that side of what I do, which is giving like that feeling that we all love, playing live, like gently passing that on to the tiny humans. And I think that side, like I said, I love playing with these boys. I would love to do nothing more than this, but the one thing I do like equally is sharing the ability to do that and everything that has come with that. Because kids nowadays are weird, and like we were pretty weird too, but you know, they're weird in what feels like a way scarier time. And so I said to one of them the other day, like, you know, I was riffing in the middle of my lesson, just trying to keep it upbeat, because she was really young. And I said, music is the closest thing we have to magic. You know, just
Sure.
pull that one out of my ass. But it got it like the rest of the lesson went
Give him a
well.
tug.
And so that I guess is because I can play for me as much as I want. Like I work sitting at a piano. I can noodle and teach at the same time. But that is the thing that really drives me on top of enjoying it, is being able to teach someone else how to enjoy that as well and find that.
Sure, that's great. So on that note, where can people find that? Where is your social media, guys? What are your links?
We are Dr. Ted and the Stone on Instagram. And I'm just going to quickly pimp out Porchlight Studio Stage and School in Glen Rock, New Jersey.
Yeah.
We also have a Facebook, if anybody is still using that.
Anyways, our social media is, we're on Instagram. That's usually where I'm at editing. So if anyone wants to talk directly to me and or Judah, just go on Instagram, and the Instagram is called Dr. Ted and the Stone. That is our Instagram page. And then there's
I
links.
believe we have a YouTube too. Let me see.
Oh yeah, we do. We have a full link tree as well.
Yes, we do. Yes.
It's in our bio. It has upcoming dates. We are running a promotion with Least of All Records. I forget where they're based out of in the city.
Brooklyn.
But in Brooklyn, amazing. We're doing on like February 19th, I want to say, a collaboration with them where we're getting some pressings done of 4 of our tunes. They are Someday Anyway, a song about rain, Cascade, and Ain't It Funny.
And
I believe so, yeah.
The cool thing about these vinyls we're recording live to vinyl, it's not going to be mixed at all. Each recording is its own individual master. So we're recording it live, but also whoever purchases it, let's say Jose purchased one for himself because he is like that. Yeah, me too. We're all rock stars / narcissists. It's all good. But we can personalize these vinyls to the purchaser. So let's say if my brother purchased it, I could say, "Hey, how you doing? Have fun at your new job." And then we record the song, and then it gets shipped out to him. Yeah, so very excited to share that with friends, family, and friends of the band. And it's on leastofall.com, I believe. It's going to go for about $27, but trust me, it's worth it.
Awesome. So,
okay. And we're going to have, hopefully, footage to follow of us recording in those sessions. So look out for that, I guess.
A sweaty Maddox is what you're going to see.
I too am a drummer.
Oh, yes.
I'm familiar with drummer sweat. I get it.
Or your drummer.
Yeah. All right. So why don't you each take a turn, just giving a life lesson or a message that resonates with you that you want to throw out there.
I'll go quick. I was explaining this the other day, and this is just silly for the most part. But it's buy it nice or no, it's not buy it nice or buy it twice. It's fucking don't skimp out on the shit that separates you from the floor. So like tires, shoes, socks, your mattress, ball out for that shit. You won't regret it.
It's good advice.
See, I would say, well, that is good advice. Never mind. I'm gonna get in trouble if I say this, so whatever. Some advice. I don't know. Pass.
Fair enough.
I guess I can go next. I learning from my music major has made me more, I guess, appreciative of the finer aspects, I guess, of the fundamentals of music, like rhythm, harmony, melody. I've learned now to go into music not with any preconceived judgments of, oh, that's like a pop song, oh, that's like a disposable top
Mhm.
40 song, like I think all music has some sort of merit. Otherwise it wouldn't be around in some capacity. But it's in the eye of the beholder whether or not it should stand the test of time. And I think that there are things to be learned even from bad music.
Sure, definitely. I completely agree. All right. Andrew, did you come up with anything or should we just jump to Judah?
Yeah, I kind of want to echo Maddox because when I was in college as well, I would be very anti listening to top 40 for no specific reason except I found most pop stars to not be playing instruments live while performing. But as I kind of fell into audio engineering and audio production, working in music recording studios or post production, like working on podcasts and films, all these, I'd watch videos on mixing and editing, and all these artists are just so talented, and it just blew me away by what is behind the curtain, working in the studio, seeing the artists, but also the engineers. Not only gave me a new respect for the specific artist, but I would just listen a lot more intensely to see how did they do that, how'd they come up with that. So I'd say always be curious, try to see what's behind the curtain, always learn as much as you can about something that might interest you, or or if it's not that interesting. I love like going to sleep and like reading some random Wikipedia page about whatever. It's
Sure. So to kind of expound on what you're saying there about the conversation between listening to top 40 and things like that, I once had a conversation with a friend that was very similar to that about kind of naysaying the top 40 people based on like all the electronics and stuff that they put into their music. And my friend at the time basically put it like this, and he just said it's extremely difficult within the studio setting to actually make those sounds. And it's a lot of manipulation of just sine waves and saw waves to get a specific type of electronic sound. And that in itself is an artistry.
Yeah. It is. It's amazing. I've been sitting with my, I would sit with my friends while they're more beat makers than necessarily like instrumentalists and specific songwriters. Just watching them like go through to find the perfect snare, it was like mind numbing, but also inspiring at the same time.
Definitely. All right, Judah, what do you got?
Let's see if I can do this without too much echo. Stay curious, love everybody, go to therapy, stay hydrated, love one another, make music, and just be good people.
Network.
Yeah, network. And listen, and stay tuned for our new album coming out in a month or two. I guess that's my parting advice.